Okay.
Is that the spitting chiclets?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bolt City podcast, courtesy of Odyssey. Again, it's a big day here. It's one of those that we cannot wait to talk about because it's game day. Chargers win 30-28 over the Cleveland Browns. I'm Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Herron right here talking with you for the next 45 minutes at least, talking a little Charger football. It's always a good day, guys, when the team wins. Mario, I'm going to start with you, though. It was an unusual win.
It was the most Chargers win I've ever seen in my life. Like, they started off bad, went down 14-0. They come back. It looked like they're going to run away with it. Then they don't run away with it. Staley almost blows it and looks like he just decided to throw the game and pulled a Tim Dognity and threw a bet on it. It was brutal. It was hard, but we won. It wasn't as ugly as the Denver Broncos win, but hey, a win's a win. I will take it. We move on to next week. We're still alive. Josh, how are you feeling after the win? I mean, it was I need to get, like, my heart rate was up at like 4 o'clock because I got alert on my Apple Watch. And I was like, that might be an early sign of obesity, but Chargers win.
Yeah, my heart rate was going from very beginning to the end, man. I couldn't stop watching. A few takeaways from this game is Brandon Staley, man. You got to wonder if he's really the head coach for this team going forward. Obviously, he's not going to get fired mid-season, as Fernando Ramirez told us, but my biggest takeaway from this game is wondering if Brandon Staley's still the guy for the job.
You know, here's the deal. If people who are listening to the show and they didn't get a chance to catch and watch the whole thing, because I think this is literally one of those games that radio doesn't do it justice. This is one of those where you had to see what was happening. It was absolutely amazing. Two things I took away from the end of this game was, one is I think God definitely hates the Browns more than he hates the Chargers. Okay. Two, it was like watching, hey, I'm completely messing this game up as a coach. Here, hold my beer. I bet I can mess it up worse than you. Both sides were ridiculous. I mean, we're absolutely insane. And if I'm a Browns fan, I mean, that game's in Cleveland. How do you leave the stadium? I mean, it's one of those, like, is there a back door to this place? How do I get out of here? Because it was insane. Brandon Staley, as upset as we are with Brandon Staley right now, imagine what they're talking about on the Browns podcast and what the people in the stadium are thinking leaving. You had that game won a couple different times, and it was crazy. They put a crazy stat on the television about Jacoby Brissett. And again, Mara, you know him well because you saw him with the Colts a bunch, but he does not throw an interception the whole season, the first 57 minutes of the game. Yet all of his interceptions have come in the last 3 minutes of the game. And it's like, man, that's not what you want. I mean, you look at the Rams and Matthew Stafford last year. What was the big stat? He never threw an interception in the fourth quarter. Now he can't stop throwing interceptions in the fourth quarter, and you aren't getting wins. You can't win in the NFL if that's when you turn the ball over. And when you're looking at the turnovers that the Browns had today, and especially when, I mean, I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing. We're looking at that score 30-28 and going, oh, my God, they're going to charge her this thing. It's 3 points. Right? They're going to lose by 1. We all know how this game's going to end. And you had either a touchdown or you had a worst-case scenario, a chip shot field goal, and you threw an interception 2 yards in front of your face to only the Charger guy that was standing there. It was so bizarre. It was like a 7th-grade quarterback all of a sudden.
And he, like, got out of the pocket, like, made it exciting, escaped the pressure. And, like, I was sitting there, I'm like, there's no way Jacoby Brissett's going to freaking beat us. I got to have everyone to back up Deshaun Watson's going to ruin this. And then I called on Thursday, not to brag, hashtag don't brag, but I did say Brissett's going to Brissett it. And he did. Yeah. And I knew he was going to blow at some point, and he did such a beautiful job of it. But, boy, it's just God does hate the Browns more than he hates the Chargers in many different ways. With the uniforms on top of that, it's just he hates it. Jesus did not die for their sins. I'll tell you that much right now. He did not die for their sins.
Do you feel lucky to come away with this win? Are you just happy, Dave, that we got the win at the end of the day, or are you more like frustrated the way it went down?
This is how my feeling with NFL. And I always, early in the season, everything's magnified, right? You want to get at your first one of the year. You want to get off to a good start. You don't want to, hang around and go, man, what's that stat again about teams that have this record at this point of the season that don't make the postseason? But in the long run, through 17 games, it always evens out, right? It should even out. And the way I feel is we got cheated in the Chiefs game. And if I could go back and change the two, 100% I'd rather have the Chiefs win than the Browns win, because when you lose a game in your division, it's like losing 2 games. I mean, if the Chiefs fall on Monday night to the Raiders and the Chargers and the Chiefs have the same record, the Chiefs still hold the tiebreaker. So it was important to win that game inside your division. But I don't think any of us feel that the better team won on the night when the Chiefs won. I mean, Justin Herbert had the busted ribs and we're dropping interceptions and we have opportunities to win the game, and they fall short against Kansas City. Today, for the Browns, maybe they're thinking things will even themselves out too, but we all know the Browns schedule gets extremely tough, and Deshaun Watson doesn't come back till the end of the year. They're probably looking at a season where they aren't a postseason team. And for the Chargers, yeah, you're lucky to get on that plane and have a win. But if I'm Dean Spanos, if I'm Tom Telesco, I have a bunch of questions for Brandon Staley on what you were thinking today, because at times it seemed like he didn't even know what the score was. It just didn't make sense. It almost seemed like he thought he was losing the game instead of winning the game.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that. And the weird thing too is I was getting ready to come on the pod, honestly, at halftime and go, this is probably one of Coach Staley's best games, because they were down 14-0. My first thought was, this is Jaguars all over again, right? Like, we're getting the worst case scenario happened. They got a big lead, 14-0. And they're just going to run the ball on us all day long, and we're not going to be able to do anything. Herbert's going to be off the field. We're going to be in trouble. And then they came back, and they showed will, and I felt like they had an identity. I was like, holy crap, the Chargers know who they are. Like, finally, we have something. And then there's like just these charged it plays where I'm like, Staley, what are we thinking, dude? And then there's the late game management. It's like Andy Reid back on the Eagles with it. I'm like, what are we thinking here, man? Like, let's go, Brandon, I guess. Like, this is just terrible what we're doing right now. And I can't get over the play call. First off, they're going for it on the 4th and 2 on our own 40. Was it our own 42? 46?
It was our own 40-yard line. It was our own 45.
45. Okay. It was our own 45. And not only
that was a minute 10 remaining in the game.
Yeah, minute 10 remaining in the game. We have Austin Eckler, who for the first time ever can get it going on the ground. First time this season.
Yeah.
We have that. And instead, we're running a slant route to Williams, who did not beat his man. We stopped the clock. Like, it just, none of it made sense. It was just like, what are we thinking here? Why are we doing this? Do we really want to win this game? And are we forgetting our lead? Like, do we forget that, like, they can win with a field goal? That's what I felt like. I felt like Staley forgot that we could lose with a field goal.
Yeah. Me too.
You mentioned before the show that you thought Brandon Staley didn't know what the score was. Do you truly believe that, Dave?
Josh, none of it made sense to me. I just couldn't understand what I was watching. I mean, there's a difference of being aggressive and being stupid. And it was one of those where it was straight out stupid. I mean, when the Browns got the ball back and you see they put the kicking line on the field of what's in the range of the Browns making a kick, and it was only a 2-yard difference, you're like, oh my gosh, you just give the ball to Chubb and they're in field goal range. They're all set, ready to go. They got it set. And going to what Mario said, Austin Eckler ran for 173 yards on 16 carries. 10.8 yards a carry is what he averaged today. Of course, he had that big run of 71 yards, but 173 yards. And you're going to sit there and pass the ball on 4th and 2? Got to find a way to get Eckler involved. That was insane to me. I just didn't understand one bit of that. Like, literally, I put my head down and go, okay, here comes the punting unit. And I looked up and go, whoa, what are we doing? I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Well, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Mario, but if you're a Browns fan, aren't you wondering why the hell did Jacoby Brissett throw the ball as many times as Justin Herbert? We have Nick Chubb. They can't stop us either. Wouldn't that be your thought if you're a Browns fan, Mario?
100%. And like, you see the success that you're having. I mean, at halftime, he already went over his prop. He had 95 yards at halftime and 2 touchdowns. I would go until he can't move anymore. I would literally go and like, Chubb, we're riding you out. You're not going to practice all this week. You're going to rest up.
Yeah.
Here's a whole bottle of Advil. We're going to literally give you the ball 20 times today, plus 20 times, and literally run you till you can't go anymore. It made no sense why Jacoby Brissett got as many pass attempts as he had. Yes, did J.C. Jackson play well? No, he did not. Our secondary did not look very good. At the same time, that's how you break someone's will in football. Run it all over them. Take a lesson that you learned against the Falcons a week before and continue running the ball. It was a great mistake by the Browns because it helped the Chargers out. But definitely something, if you go home as a Browns fan, you're going, we were up 14-0. We were up 14-0. And we were dominating the run. How do we not win this game? How do we not make it a brutal game to watch after that?
You know, you talk about dominating the run. Nick Chubb again ran for 134 yards, 7.9 yards a carry he averaged. Kareem Hunt 4.3. He was great too. Jacoby Brissett 10.7. I mean, the Chargers couldn't stop the running game. None of it made any sense at all as far as what was going on. And so, hey, good for us. You know what I mean? Good for us. But I'm sitting there looking at this team right now, and I know they're 3-2 and fantastic before you play a team inside your division next Monday against the Broncos. And I'm looking at this sounds terrible to say. I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys like crazy because I'm going keep winning and let Mike McCarthy come back and Sean Payton's available because I have zero faith in Brandon Staley, just like I did before our very first show we had going. And I'm like, there's a guy living in Los Angeles that is better at this than what Brandon Staley is. And he has not proven himself as a head coach to me. And today was one of those where I'm like, who are you? What's going through your brain?
Don't they have an analytics guy in football like they have in baseball that tell you what to do? Almost like you're playing blackjack at the casino. You got to look down at what the call is. Isn't that how it works in the NFL? So how do you not go with what everybody knows what to do analytical wise? You punt the ball in that situation.
Hey, you play the odds.
You play the odds. I don't understand how we can even make that decision when everybody knows that you're making the wrong decision. That's what I don't understand. I don't know how the management can let that ride.
And are you going into that game and you're telling me in that game plan you don't know that Brissett struggles late in the game? You're telling me that you don't know that you have a backup quarterback who's going to have to lead him down the whole field? You don't know, like, do you not know that you have Khalil Mack who loves big moments to play? Do you not know you have J.C. Jackson? Like, there's so many things where I'm like, trust your defense. Just trust it. Your offense has done enough. You have 30 points on the board. Your offense has done enough. Let your defense win you that game. You're a defensive-minded coach. You call the defensive plays. You have the most control on that side of the ball. Trust it. Trust it, trust it, trust it. Against a backup quarterback, you should trust that 100% of the time.
This is one of those games where you go, man, it must have been meant to be. I mean, Cade York misses a 45-yard field goal for the Browns, all right? And in the NFL, 45 should be a chip shot. That's the difference in a game. He misses the 50-40-yarder at the end of the game. It had plenty of distance. He just missed it. And you're going, if again, hey, they walked away with a win. Not to sour on the win. I don't want people to think that, hey, you guys are 100% negative. Look, there's some huge mistakes. These wins right here won't happen in the postseason. And I think most Charger fans believe this is a team that if they don't make the postseason, it's a complete failure. And not only do we expect to make the postseason, we expect them to make a run and eventually play the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there's supposed to be a tremendous amount of talent here. That's not championship football, what we saw today. And when pulling that game off 30-28 against Cleveland and Jacoby Brissett, who I think is on his fourth team, that wasn't impressive. That's not how you get things done. And again, it leaves me shaking my head.
And Mario makes a great point. You don't send a good message to your own defense when you're not willing to, give them the trust at the end of the game that you can make a stop. When I look through this box score on the offensive side of the ball, it was Mike Williams and really nobody else catching the ball. I think that's also a concern. We need to get everybody involved to win these games against better teams. I'm so curious to see what this offense looks like with Keenan Allen, because if Mike Williams could continue to ball out with Keenan Allen, and we know how good he is, I think we could be very dangerous, but we got to mix in the guys like Gerald Everett, DeAndre Carter, Josh Palmer, all the receivers that we really have.
Going to that right there. I don't know about you guys, but, Mike Williams, I was happy to see Mike Williams show up because they needed every bit of Mike Williams. But, I mean, come on, Joshua Palmer's dropping balls. Andre Carter's not getting anything as far as once he gets his hands on the ball. I mean, there's nothing there. 2 receptions, 9 yards. There was nothing after the catch. I mean, it's evident they need Keenan Allen back to play their best football.
And we bring up Mike Williams before Staley made the horrible decision on the 4th and 2. He saved us from a potential pick 6 on that hitch route. Dave, you texted us right away and goes, that could have been an interception. He caught it high, kept it high, strong hands, did not let go of the ball. That gave me a heart attack. That was one of the scariest moments in this game. Mike Williams stepped up big. He won his one of the matchups when we needed it. He got open when we needed it, and he was the only one that really stepped up, if we're going to be honest, with receiver-wise. Joshua Palmer dropped balls that you need to catch as an NFL receiver. He was kind of a letdown. Everett was kind of taken out of the game. He wasn't really that big. But also the passing game, we didn't need the passing game as much today. When Joshua Kelly and Eckler are getting us yards, it's kind of hard to spread the ball when everything's going in our direction on the ground.
Going to that pass, the Mike Williams one, and you guys remember it. He caught the ball in front of his face. I mean, it was obviously strength and hands and everything else that he had going. But the announcer made a point about it. How smart was he not to bring the ball into his body, right? You're always taught catch the ball, tuck it in. If second he would have brought the ball in, the guy would have caused a fumble. And, his hand was right there between both his arms. And Mike Williams was like, I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm going to just hold the ball with my hands. The play call was bad. It was a terrible play call by Lombardi. And it was just set up for an easy pick six. It didn't make any sense at all. You should have used the middle of the field at that point. Why would you sit there and set it up where basically a better corner intercepts the ball and runs it straight back? It was so dangerous. Again, I shake my head. This coaching staff right now is driving me a little bit crazy. Makes me nervous as can be.
What do you think about the play calling, Mario? Do you think Austin Eckler got the ball, Joshua Kelly got the ball enough times on the ground, considering how well we were running it?
Yeah, I actually was pretty happy with the play calling because before that play that we had with Williams having, strength of a god in his hands, we had a great play call. Fake the handoff. Williams slipped into the flat. Great play call. Got us like 15 yards out of it. It was beautiful by Lombardi. And he fed Eckler and Kelly when they needed it. They both had 26 touches combined. Eckler had 173 yards. Like, he played great. I thought they got the ball a great amount. I think the one thing he did well is, feed who's hot. It's like the old basketball term. You just hit it, your 3-point shot. Well, guess what? You're come back down, shoot another one. I thought he did that perfectly. Besides, that last play call that we had and some other ones, I was not that mad at Lombardi's play calling today. I thought he played to who was hot, and I'm always for that. Play to your strengths. Play to who's balling out that day. Don't try too much to go to someone that's cold.
Yeah, you're right. For me, it's that one play that made me nervous. What could have changed the whole game? You're right. Overall, the play calling was not bad at all. What I thought was interesting is when we talked about this before. I think Josh brought it up about the running back situation. We all know that Eckler is your number one running back, right? He's the guy that people are drafted in the top 10 picks in fantasy football. We all said we want to see more Joshua Kelly, and Joshua Kelly played very well. What I thought was interesting for college football fans out there, Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel were college teammates at Georgia, and they were like, considered 1A and 1A. You know what I mean? I mean, they were like, which one's better? And Michel, 1 carry, 0 yards. Chubb over here, 17 carries, 134 yards. It's amazing how their careers have kind of gone two different ways. Not saying that Michel's not an NFL player, but Chubb's an elite player.
Since we're on the topic of Georgia players, how about Jamari Sailor? Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney didn't even have 1 sack. They had 1 sack as a team. I think you got to be extremely proud of the way this rookie's been playing. I don't think anybody expected this at all.
Come on, be honest. You did. You're the one that called it.
I didn't expect that.
You said it 2 weeks ago.
You did. You did call it.
I did say it, but Myles Garrett's, him and TJ Watt are the 2 best, edge rushers in football. I said to Fernando Ramirez, who we love, Jamari Sailor played great against the Texans. He goes, yeah, but he has, Myles Garrett next week. And he just balled out, man. I'll take it all day long. If Rashawn Slater can come back and Jamari Sailor can play right tackle, I'm extremely happy.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah. So what's your biggest takeaway from this game, Mario? When you look at what happened today, we obviously win. What's your biggest takeaway, positive or negative?
Positive is we can run the ball when we want to. We can do that. We can do that against anyone. This wasn't the Texans that are the worst against the run that we did this on. No, this was against the Browns. This is against a pretty strong front seven or a playoff team when they have all their pieces in line. That's my strength. Big weakness, game management, I think, obviously. And the other weakness, I think, too, today made me really nervous about our corner play and J.C. Jackson. That made me very, very, very nervous. He was getting targeted a lot. He wasn't covering his man a lot. He looked more of a liability than a strength on the field. And when you're paying a guy a lot of money, you kind of want him to perform. He didn't really perform at his best. That's my I would say, the weakness tonight was that. And Joshua Palmer, you got to do something, man. You got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. Hits you in the hands, got to be catched.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With J.C. Jackson, do you think it's still injury? I mean, I'm willing to give him a pass because we all know he had surgery and he was injured. I mean, he's not at all playing like he did a year ago. A year ago, you go, man, we just got to shut down corner, a guy that can take care of half the field, and he's a liability. He's really playing well below what his standards are, and I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. But I'm hopefully just giving that a pass of injury, not the fact that his career hit the wall all of a sudden.
I think it has to be injury. Going into this season, many people would say J.C. Jackson was the best corner in the NFL. If it's not him or Jalen Ramsey, he definitely doesn't look 100%. Another thing in the defensive backfield I noticed was Nasir Adderley was benched today. He's obviously the one that missed the tackle on the long run by Dameon Pierce last week, and he got benched. I was a little bit surprised that we started, forgive me for my pronunciation, Alohi Gilman over him. I thought Nasir Ederle was definitely a starter year long. A little bit surprised there.
Go ahead, Mario.
I was very impressed with him. 7 total tackles today. Obviously had that interception all over the field.
Got a game ball.
Got the game ball. Did you see that video too? They're all like, they gave it to O-line, and the O-line we're gonna give it to someone else. That was like the most O-line thing ever. Like, dude, just take the freaking ball. But he deserved it. He deserved it though. He played great. It's always good too to see like a guy step in. He's not intimidated, and he just played hard and he played fast. And that's all you can ask for. 7 total tackles, great for safety. Game-winning interception. That's big. He's coming down hard on the football. I'll take it, man. If we're gonna have him just kind of switching out with Adderley a little bit, because I still have good amount of confidence in Ad that he can come back and be a pretty good player. But I was happy with his performance, man. I loved it. Let's bring it into the next week with the Broncos.
What stood out to me was what Mario said earlier in the week about the time change, and I was like, God, they're going to be fine. We brought this up a few times during the week about if you're Brandon Staley and you're the Chargers, you move practice time till 10 a.m. California time. You get your body clock ready to go. And then when the Browns were up 14-0 before you could blink, you're going, man, they aren't ready to play. The whole team did not look ready to play on defense. And then things kicked in. I mean, all of a sudden the Chargers are playing comeback football and things started kicking in. But I was thinking, man, Mario nailed this one. And first thing I did was I went to the schedule. And I was like, how many more 10 a.m. games do the Chargers have? And they have one more, by the way. They have one more. It's against the Atlanta Falcons, the team that Mario told us the Chargers will lose that game. And I think I made the comment, if they lose, I'll walk from Atlanta back to Los Angeles. But I'm like, thank God there's only one more 10 a.m. game, because they did not look ready to go on kickoff.
I feel this is going to be a really weird analogy, but I feel like a manipulated girlfriend, because when my team's losing 14-0, I'm more confident that we're going to win than if we were up 14-0. Just knowing this Chargers team for so many years, when I see we're losing, I'm like, I think we're going to win this game, because if we're up 14-0, I'm like, we're going to blow this game. So I felt good just to see that we always have a fight in us. We always got that dog in us, unlike Russell Wilson. But no, I'm really happy with this team, man. With the amount of injuries that we have, that we can win a game on the road, regardless if you're going against Jacoby Brissett. It's an NFL team on the road. I feel like you should be happy with the win regardless.
And just be happy with like the will that we had today. And the will, and just the part that we did come back. We didn't fold. It wasn't the Jaguars where we got the crappy out of us and then we just sucked the whole time. I think, that's good for us. I'll take that any single day. And we said this on Thursday. If it comes to a shootout, we'll take it, and I'm fine with that. If Chargers want to do the shootout with every single team, 10 times more entertaining every week and great content we can get out of it every single time. And 2, I'll take it if it comes out with the win every single time. So I'll take it. Chargers win. Victory Monday. Here we go.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying as far as, look, if they lost and they're 2-3 and we're going, man, this isn't going our direction at all. Look, let's look at the schedule here, and you're going, when does the bye happen, right? You kind of do that whole self-check and going where you're at in the bye. You have 2 more games until the bye. You have the Broncos next Monday Night Football at home, and then you have the Seahawks right after on October 23rd before your bye week. Those are 2 games you should win. So, I mean, you should be 5-2 heading into your week off. And then we all know the schedule gets a little bit tougher after the Falcons. But for this team, yeah, they can be a playoff team. They got to be healthier. When we don't know when Keenan Allen's coming back, we all think that's going to be a big difference. I bet if you ask the Charger players of what they were happiest about today, they'll tell you that they established the running game. And that's something that they weren't able to do through the first 3 games. We saw a little bit better, obviously, effort last week, and then we see back-to-back weeks that they could establish the running game. That was a big step, and that's one of those things that will help Justin Herbert out tremendously. And as you guys said, when Keenan comes back, it's just more and more weapons. It's everything that we thought the Chargers were going to be in 2022.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago we were saying the Chargers were a one-dimensional team, that if Justin Herbert's not on his A game, there's no chance we win. Well, today Justin Herbert didn't have his greatest game, and we still won. It's just a huge positive for us. I still think Austin Eckler is a top 5 running back in this league. Anybody that was hating on him leading up into these last 2 games weren't watching these games, because if you watch Austin Eckler, he's still the same player. He's getting a little bit better blocking, but I feel like when Austin Eckler has the ball, he's one of the most explosive players in the NFL. I'm very confident in our offense and our defense. I think so too. Even though you gave up 28 points to Jacoby Brissett, we still have better players than other teams that we're going against, and I'll take that all day long. Where do you think we rank amongst the AFC teams? We talked about this the other day, Mario. Are you still confident that the Chargers are a top 3 team in the AFC?
Yes, I think I'm more confident after today. Because just for the sole factors, what did the Browns do to us today that like they don't do against any other team? You know, it's kind of like, is there anything that they exposed of us that they don't expose to any others? To me, not really. That makes me feel fine. If we're going to lose to the strengths of an opposing team, that's going to happen. You can't take away the strength of every team every single time. So I'm not really worried about that. I still have strengths that we can be a top 3 team in the AFC. And the only 2 teams I'm really scared of on a Sunday to face is still the Bills and the Chiefs, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's still the Bills and the Chiefs, and we get another opportunity. I'm happy to say when we take on the Chiefs at home on November 20th. I think that's a game right there that'll give us a test to see exactly what we are, and hopefully we'll be back at full strength. But I'm looking through the rest of the AFC, and Josh, I'll be honest with you, the AFC East, there's not one team there that I'm afraid of. The Miami Dolphins are completely different without Tua.
Right.
I mean, the Jets and Dolphins are both 3-2. The Patriots, I know, pull off a win today, but look who they're playing. And right now you're looking at the AFC North, and whoever wins between the Ravens and Bengals, that team will be in first place at 3-2 as we do the show. Sunday Night Football is happening right now. Titans, funny is the Titans started out 0-2, and now the Titans are 3-2. They've won 3 straight games. I don't think anybody's afraid of the Colts. Jacksonville shows you why the NFL is the NFL. They end up dropping to the Texans. And then you go through the AFC West, and that division is always a little bit scary. But again, Kansas City at 3-1, and the Buffalo Bills are the 2 teams that you could say are honestly better than the Chargers right now, because you got to give Kansas City credit. When the scoreboard told you lost, you lost.
Yeah, I think the NFL right now is so muddled between the best teams and the worst teams. You really can't tell who's who. I mean, you look at the Jets today, they win 40-17. Going into the season, I thought the Jets might be the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
But like you said, it makes a huge difference when your team doesn't have its quarterback, as in Tua. So I really don't know where the Chargers stand. I'm happy with where we are with all these injuries that we have. I'm curious to see what the offense looks like with Keenan Allen getting back. I still think the AFC West is one of the top divisions. I might sound crazy saying that, but I look at all the crap that's going on in these other divisions, and I think I still like what we have in our division in the AFC West. It's not good for the Chargers because they have to go against the Chiefs, and I think the Raiders aren't as bad as they've shown. But from top to bottom, I still think this is the best division in the NFL. Mario, what are you looking for going into this Raiders and Chiefs game tomorrow? Do you think the Raiders have a real chance?
Absolutely not, because I looked at Derek Carr's stats. Absolutely not. I mean, 7 straight games of throwing an interception is just absolutely brutal. Raiders, I don't trust McDaniels right now with the situation he has with Derek Carr. I don't think he likes Derek Carr as his quarterback. I just don't think that situation's adding up. I think the Raiders have been a little bit overhyped. I think if they're very one-dimensional on offense, if you honestly just slow down Adams a little bit, they don't really have much of their passing game outside of that. They should, because they have weapons, but they don't. Defense can't stop anyone. I think Mahomes is going to dominate them. He's going to throw all over them. I think they're going to cover. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be fun, but I think it's going to be like a 14-point Chiefs win. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I tell you, I'm the one guy last week that picked the upset this, and maybe it's because of my heart, more than my head, but I'm the one that said, don't be surprised the Raiders are able to pull this off. Now, look, if I was betting my house, of course I'm picking the Chiefs, but I mean, I really would love to see the Raiders play what you say is up to their potential. They have not figured out a way to use Devontae Adams and Waller and Josh Jacobs and Renfro all at the same time to make this offense work. It's interesting when you hear guys who play football at a high level will tell you there's a difference of just in the rhythm, playing the game, making things happen, than overthinking things. And for the Raiders right now, the guys on offense, you hear them talk about this playbook, that it is crazy tough. I mean, Hunter Renfro is a wide receiver that went through a very successful program at Clemson. Has been in the NFL for a number of years, and to tell you that he's overwhelmed. And I need to be as smart as what Derek Carr is. And you hear that over and over again. The only guy that seems comfortable in that Raiders offense that's not Derek Carr is Devontae Adams. And it shows you how bright he must be to pick it up more than the other guys. But Waller and Renfro are completely lost. Josh Jacobs, we already know that the Raiders aren't going to pick up his option, that he's going to be with a different team next year. But Waller is supposed to be the guy that made a ton of money. Remember, they gave him all this money and the mismatches, and you going, Kelsey's the best tight end of the league. Waller's probably number 2. Waller isn't an elite tight end right now. They don't use him that way. They don't get him the ball that way. And he kind of reminds me, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, he kind of reminds me a little bit of George Kittle of the Niners. Like, you're supposed to be athletically this much better than everyone else, and yet you can't make things happen the way Kelsey makes things happen.
Do you think that's more of a schematic theme, or do you think it's because when I watch the Rams, I see that Matt Stafford just looks towards Cooper Kupp? Do you think it's kind of the same thing with the Raiders, where Derek Carr is really just targeting Devontae Adams, and it's not him, it's Hunter Renfrow?
He can't even get Devontae Adams the ball. I mean, that's what's crazy.
I don't think he's good.
He doesn't have the accuracy of a premier NFL quarterback. He can't get him the ball.
Going into this year, I didn't think Derek Carr was that bad. I said to Mario, we all agreed.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is not that bad. We look like idiots. We look like freaking idiots. What happened? He wasn't that bad going into the season. I'm happy because I hate the Raiders that he sucks, but I just didn't see this coming. And Russell Wilson, not a fan of Russell Wilson's. Oh, Matt Stafford's a great point. Yeah. Matt Ryan, worse than he even was before.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I don't know, man. I feel like the Chargers are in the weirdest situation. You're going against maybe the best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes, and then maybe the two worst quarterbacks in the NFL and Derek Carr and Russell Wilson. It is nuts. I just did not see this coming whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know what's the craziest thing too is you can't say Staley's the worst game manager in the division. You really can't.
Oh no,
like you look at Nathaniel Hackett, he beats him by a mile. And that's something that honestly, like, if we think about it, that goes in the Chargers' favor. We have Andy Reid, who's one of the best offensive minds he's ever seen in the game, and then after that, we have a massive drop off. We have Josh McDaniels, who's just trying to be Bill Belichick, really, just offensively. And then you have, Nathaniel Hackett, who just can't figure out a solid game plan to get his team to win.
Yeah, boy, and Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, I really enjoy what's happening in Denver right now.
Me too.
Like, I hope it goes the whole year. It is absolutely amazing. As I joked around at the beginning about the hold my beer, Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson do something every week to be worse than the week before. It's crazy. That Bronco Colts game on Thursday was literally the worst NFL game I've ever seen. I thought Al Michaels was going to have a stroke, and he was so upset watching this game. And we all know Al Michaels likes to put a little money on the game, so he's a little frustrated too there that he's losing money. But also, it was not entertaining. It's a tough game to call. But Russell Wilson and all the BS. I mean, Russell Wilson used to be one of the most liked guys in the NFL. Now he's such an idiot. When you see him before the games practicing, running out of the tunnel, practicing his high fives. I mean, who are you? The let's ride and all this, let Russell cook and all this garbage. You're going, man, $230 million. You might have killed your franchise for the next 10 years because of this contract.
What happened, do you think, to Russell Wilson's psyche? Because I swear to God, when he came into the league, he was not like that. Maybe he was. Was he always like that, Mario?
Maybe Pete Carroll just hit it well. Like, I honestly think maybe. And when Seahawks were struggling last year, I feel like Pete Carroll got a lot of the heat. Russell Wilson didn't.
He didn't.
A little taste of your medicine. Geno Smith looks good. Looks like a pretty good quarterback.
Which is crazy because Geno Smith literally is one of the worst I've ever seen. In warm-ups, Geno Smith's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. The two worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in warm-ups, actually three of them I throw in there. Yeah, it said cover the NFL for a long time and would go to these games 4 hours early. By far, the three worst quarterbacks I've ever seen are Cardell Jones, Geno Smith, and Tim Tebow. Like, Tim Tebow could even hit a wide receiver during warm-ups that wasn't being covered. And you're like, man, these guys are awful. And I'm like, Geno Smith right now looks like a guy, is he available in fantasy football? It's crazy.
He's balling, dude. He's balling. You know who I thought you were going to name right now, too, as a former Chargers quarterback? Was Zach Mettenberger. I thought that's who you were going to say, too.
He was awful.
He couldn't hit anybody.
I got to Zach Mettenberger is one of those guys. Sorry, Josh. He's one of those guys, as they used to say in the South. Man, he could throw the ball and knock a barn over, man, but he can't throw it where he wants it. I mean, it's Zach Mettenberger of course, from LSU. I thought he was going to be a much better player than he turned out to be, and he was awful.
Yeah. The cool thing about the NFL is you hate every team or division because there's three others.
I hate every team in the NFL, whether they're the division or not. I hate everybody.
Do you really? I really don't feel that way.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. There's some teams I hate more, but not that much.
Yeah, of course. But every team has broken my heart over the years. Every
team. What do the Texans do to you?
They beat the Chargers last year. They shouldn't have beat the Chargers last year.
That's true. Good point.
I mean, how did that happen?
Bad example.
What did the Detroit Lions do to you?
Yeah,
that's funny as hell. I will say this about Detroit because the Chargers in Detroit don't play very often.
Yeah.
It used to be back in the day when the Chargers were in San Diego, with 5 minutes remaining in the game, in the media, you could go stand on the field. Okay, you'd stand on the sidelines with the players, and so when Barry Sanders was in his prime, I was like, I want to stand in the end zone. I want to see what the linebackers, safeties, everyone sees from Barry Sanders. Why is it so hard to tackle this guy? And he realized you couldn't see him. He was so short that by the time you saw him, he was already past the line of scrimmage and you were off balance. And it was amazing he ever got tackled. He was fast, strong, and you couldn't pick him up. Like, I just honestly don't know how anyone ever kept Barry Sanders in check. He was impressive.
I think the best running back in my lifetime is LT. I'm a homer, but I think LT in his prime is the best running back. He's the best running back I've ever seen.
Great blocker. I mean,
could do everything.
Mario's family's a bunch of Bears fans, right, Mario?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
100%. So LT was Walter Payton is what he was. And I'm sure his family that are Bears fans think I'm crazy for saying that. But I mean, as Walter did everything. Walter could catch. Walter could throw. LT could throw. I think LT threw 10 touchdowns in his career. And he could block. I mean, he was a tremendous blocker. LT was outstanding, and Walter Payton was outstanding. There are very few guys in the NFL that could do all those things. Marshall Faulk falls in that category, Marcus Allen fell in that category. All Hall of Famers, but guys that can do all those things.
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, I got a question for you because you're older than both of us.
Yeah.
Which player from a rival team have you hated the most ever?
That's a good one because it's funny. It always turns into the whole respect thing where you start to you just go, man, the guy's so good, you respect him. It's kind of like I'm a huge Laker fan, and watch, I got a picture right behind me right there, and it's Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, who were good friends. I hated Larry Bird when I was a kid, but then there becomes a time where you just go, the guy's a freak. I mean, he's so good. You got to admire greatness. For me, the player, honestly, I think I hate the most is Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
Yeah, and he currently plays
like as a person or what?
Nothing I like about him. I don't like his girlfriend or his wife if they're married now. I don't like his brother. I don't like the Hunt family. I don't like anything about the entire Chiefs organization.
Okay, let me piggyback off that. I was gonna say, leading into that question, I hate every team in the division. All three, I hate the most. Yeah. I can't stand any of them. There's something about the Broncos that always has really bothered me, dude. Like, I hate the Raiders. I hate the Chiefs. Yeah. But there's something about these Broncos. Ever since I was a little kid, I just freaking hate them more than everybody. Do you feel that way, Mario?
I hate them. I hate.
What is it? They're just annoying, huh, bro?
They're so annoying. I hate John Elway with the passion. I hated Cutler. I hated Manning when he went there. I hate Russell Wilson. I hated Brock Osweiler. I hate all of them. Like, I've never, for some reason, Broncos have been like the team that, like, hearing like, oh, the Mile High, I gotta get used to that altitude and everything. Every time I heard that, that was one of those times where I thought about, I'm never gonna go into sports media, because if I have to say those words and hear that, I am going to be done. It's one of the things I hate. I can't stand the Broncos. I hate John Elway the most. I don't know why.
I hate his face. He has a punchable face. Very punchable face. I hate to copy what you just said, but I hate who the quarterback of the Broncos is every year. I just can't stand him. Dude, Russell Wilson. Dude, Drew Lock is the number one guy. I can't stand Drew Lock, dude. I can't stand Drew Lock. But Russell Wilson as a Seahawk, cool, man. Like, do your thing, bro. The second I see him in that Broncos uniform, I'm like, I freaking hate this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand him, dude. Him struggling this year makes me so damn happy, dude. Like, I just love it. I hate the Broncos, dude. I hope we beat the crap out of them so bad next week.
So I think guys my age will tell you the team they hate the most in the division's the Raiders. And Marty Schottenheimer used to do it all the time. It's Raider week. And there's always that team in the division that's kind of like the class of every division where the fan bases hate them. Like, if you ask the Eagles, Washington, the Giants, what's the one team you want to beat? They'll tell you it's the Dallas Cowboys, right? If you can only pick one team in your division to knock out twice, they're going to pick the Dallas Cowboys. I think for AFC West fans, they'll tell you it's the Raiders, and the Raiders haven't done anything in over 20 years. But I think the Raiders are the overall, when you look at guys who have been Charger fans for more than 30 years, they'll still tell you it's the Raiders.
Do you think that's for us, like our age, Josh? I was thinking that because I think it's more the Chiefs. It's got to be more the Chiefs or the Broncos, I feel like. Because Raiders have been so just not relevant for so
I have
long.
I'm with you. I have great memories
Yeah.
of the Raiders as a kid because we won that consecutive game streak with LT. We just donkey them every time we play them. It has to be the Chiefs or the Broncos. I mean, like I said, it's the Broncos for me, but I really, really, really hate the Chiefs, especially the way they've been the last couple of years where they seem a little bit arrogant. But for me, it's the Broncos, dude. Like, Broncos are my team that I just hate the most in the NFL. Seriously. And the Cowboys are actually second. And they're not even in our division, but they talk about them so much on these media outlets. I'm like, I freaking hate Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott. I hate all of them, dude. I can't stand it. The fact that they talk about Dak Prescott as much as they do, and he's not even maybe a top 10 quarterback, is freaking like criminal, bro. There's no way he should be on TV that much.
Or Ezekiel Elliott. I've never seen a running back that's not very good get so much press time. I mean, it's incredible.
He is
his
not
PR
a top 32
awesome.
running back. His PR team is great. He's not even a top 32 running back in the NFL. He's Todd Gurley, bro. He's barely out there anymore. Yeah, whatever.
It's funny, man, with the Dallas Cowboys and everything with Cooper Rush, who I tell you what, man, I can eat my words. I thought for sure the Cowboys were done. The second Dak went down and Cooper Rush stepped in the first game, and I'm like, this guy might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen. The fact that here he is running the table. And now that Jerry Jones, who's not helping out at all, I mean, we all know the story in the NFL is if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. And the fact he keeps encouraging Cooper Rush over and over again, it's like, dude, you're paying that guy $50 million a year. You might want to get on board that Dak's your guy. I don't know what he thinks his plan is on this, but I think it's a matter of time before Cooper Rush shows what he is. But he's winning the games he's supposed to win, including today against the Rams. You know, how about that? The Chargers have a better record in Los Angeles than the Rams today.
Rams have to be the most disappointing team in the NFL, right? Them or the Broncos.
I agree. I agree with that. Those two teams, I think, have to be the most disappointing. The Rams are a complete disaster right now. The offensive line's bad.
Happened?
Quarterback plays bad.
It has to be Matt Stafford, right?
I think it's offensive line. Yeah, but I think it's offensive line that makes Matt Stafford look bad, right?
I think it's off. I think it's offensive line, and I think honestly, I really thought Allen Robinson. I think everyone in the building thought he'd be a lot better than he would be now. I think they thought he'd really come in and be a strong target, and he just hasn't. I don't know if it's him or just hasn't bought into the offense, but I think that's definitely a worry. And like the Super Bowl hangovers there a little bit too, but it's definitely the offensive line. I think, and the receiving core has just not stepped up. Besides Cooper, just not at all.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting how when you look at Stafford, he only throws the ball to three guys, right? He only throws the ball to Cup, Higbee, and 18. I can't think of his name right now. I'm trying to blank, but it's very strange. Yeah. And I mean, dude, they got a block punt today, turning a touchdown. The whole everything went bad for the Rams, which again, if you're Dean Spanos and you're the Chargers, it's the whole battle of LA. Yeah, you want to show we're the best team playing in our building. I'm sure the Jets and Giants go through it too, to even a higher magnitude than what the Chargers and Rams are going through. But it's a matter of respect and trying to get that media dollar. I mean, we talk about this all the time. In Los Angeles, the Dodgers are in the postseason. Again, the Angels stink, but the Angels have two of the best players, if not the two best players in baseball on their team. So people are spending money there. Laker tickets are insane. The price of Kings tickets, everything that there's an option to do in Los Angeles. You have two of everything, two baseball, two hockey, even two MSL teams, and you're going, we want you to spend your entertainment dollar with the Chargers.
MLS.
MLS, sorry. Big fan, obviously. Never been to a game. And so I was like, all I do is get the three initials in the right order. I couldn't even do that. And you're sitting and you're going, you spend your entertainment dollar with us. Well, the Chargers are giving you a reason to say, if you're going to come watch a football game, Charger tickets are less than Ram tickets. Come get on this bandwagon. This is where the excitement is. We have the top 8 guys. We have 8 guys in the top 100 on this roster, and we have a young quarterback. The future's here. And when we started our very first show, guys, remember we talked about the young fan base. Guys like you two are jumping on the Chargers while the older fan bases are Ram fans.
It bothers me as a fan that the Chargers are considered the Clippers and the Rams are considered the Lakers. I just think with a team this talented, they should be getting more respect around not even the city, but the league as well. And everybody looks at the Chargers as the younger brother. That's why I like to see the Rams struggle. I don't hate the Rams, but when they lose, I say, hey, that's better for my team. So I'm a little bit selfish in that sense. I really want to see the Chargers do well so they can gain more respect within the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm big on that. It's time for the Chargers not to be the little brother anymore. Like it looks like the Rams aren't going to be the team this year. Like you said, Chargers are the team of the future. Stafford doesn't have a lot of years left on him. Not a lot of good years left. Herbert's got a lifetime of good years left. He's likable. He's marketable. You have good receiving core with him. You have great defense with him. Just pair him with maybe a little bit better of a coach. And Chargers are on a very good streak. They're on a very good trajectory. It's their time. If you notice in the Rams game today too, that sounded like a Cowboys home game.
Oh
Say
yeah,
what you
but
want about the Chargers,
it's
but
true.
like in the Chargers home game this year, you're telling me that it was louder for the opposing team than it was for the Chargers? It wasn't like that. Today,
No,
it was a home game for the Cowboys.
Cowboy fans are very strange. Like it's a real close friend of mine who's a diehard Cowboy fan, and the Cowboys travel really well. Steeler fans are nuts. They travel really well. Raider fans travel really well, or they just show up. They're just happen to be in your city. But if you ever watch a Cowboy game in Dallas, look how many of the visiting team is in the stands. You see it all the time. I remember when the Broncos went there, I think it was last year, it looked like 75% of the stadium was orange, and you're going, wow, that's amazing how many people go to Dallas to watch their team. But yet the Cowboys always seem to have that fan base. I think, Josh, you touched on it just a little bit ago. It's Dallas. Like none of it makes any sense, right? I mean, you turn the TV on tomorrow, the first story is going to be Dallas. It's always, they know there's a reason that formula works, is because that's what gets you ratings. But you're just going, when you look at city size and you go Los Angeles and you go New York and you go Chicago and you're like, Dallas, like, it's nuts. There was a book written in the 70s and the title of the book was I Hate the Dallas Cowboys and Who Named Them America's Team Anyway. I mean, that was the key. That America's team with Roger Staubach set all the wheels in motion, with those guys. They have won 3 playoff games since 95. That's it.
Yep. No, I hate
That's
them.
it.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
When I was a kid, they were my number 1 hated team by far. All right. So look, here's the deal. We're going to come back on Tuesday. We're going to start getting ready for the Monday Night Football game. Again, the Chargers taking on the Broncos on Monday night. Obviously, you guys want to see a big time whooping right there from the Chargers. We heard Russell Wilson is injured. Who knows if he is or isn't? They said that, all of a sudden he has lat problems. Maybe it's just excuses if people get off Russell Wilson's back. Whatever the case is, Chargers are getting healthier. Keenan Allen, we hope, comes back. But we'll be back on Tuesday and Thursday doing shows again this week, and then of course be ready to go for that big Charger game against the Broncos on Monday Night Football. Again, final score today: Chargers improved to 3-2. They win 30-28 in a miracle. In a miracle. That's all I can say. How it happened. For Josh Palais, Mauro Heron, I'm Dave Palais. Please follow us on Twitter. Interact with us. We have more Charger talk with you throughout the year right here on the Bolt City podcast, courtesy of Odyssey.